Thank you very much for joining us today, sir.
I was told that if you don't join Lobby, you get beaten up. So that's
So a lot of people wanted to hear you, especially the youngsters.
There is no greater validation than a client who walks away feeling that this kid may not know much, but he's worked his, butt off and done his best for me.
So are you saying that line has moved from idealism to realism over time?
For me, my idealism remains. I'm horribly idealistic, okay, and I'm an eternal optimist.
You're a first generation lawyer.
First generation also has various connotations, so I don't wear that as a badge. I'm always reminded of Gandhiji's talisman, and I have many advantages that many before me did not.
No, I ask also because I understand that you did not want to do law in the first place.
Yeah, I wanted to be a pediatric neurosurgeon.
Oh.
I had a kidney problem. I spent time with doctors from the time I was 11. I saw that side of the profession during the COVID pandemic when I was doing that amicus thing. And that is when I realized, that's actually what this profession is all about. Baki sab to theek hai. But those 2-3 months and then the journey after that just put the entire practice of law in perspective. That is the noble profession.
I feel like you also focus more on the outcome of how to get there.
Back in Courtroom today, I took a spiral bound case law compilation after a long time because I said, I want to sit at my desk in the morning. I usually use a standing desk. I said, I will sit at my dining table, I will read, I will mark it up and see if this makes a better difference to my life. And if it does, I'm going to keep doing that.
I've heard that a lot, that trust building with judges.
A judge reminded me of something and said, Mr. Rao, you remember that day? You stood up, you said that this was wrong, you told me, and that is why I gave you relief. The only thing you have in your life is your reputation.
Thank you very much for joining us today, sir.
No, thank you. I was told that if you don't join Lobby, you get beaten up. So that's
that's actually, I've heard that a lot.
Oh, you have?
So many people I've met, like I've introduced myself to, and they always have something to say about the name. And I thought it was a very catchy name because news-wise, beat means the law's beat.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, anyway. So that part of your personality.
You could consider calling it Karlo-Bart. Sorry.
Yeah, we could actually. Why not? English always works better. So, yeah. But thank you for joining Karlo-Bart. And it's a pleasure to have you today with us.
Thank you. Pleasure is entirely mine.
A lot of people over the last few months since we started, it's a primarily new series. It's a flagship series called Off the Record. And a lot of people, young people have reached out to me specifically saying that you should get Rajshekhar Rao sir and speak to him.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So a lot of people wanted to hear you, especially the youngsters.
What is funny is I was in court today, right? Saturday, and it was very sparse. And this young kid walked up to me. She's a lawyer now, and she came to me and said, "Sir, you came to Jindal last year to give a talk." And I said, "On service law?" She says, "No, on litigation." And I have no recollection of this bit. So she says, "No, but I wasn't sure about litigation, but I heard you, and that was the day I decided I want to litigate. And thank you." So, and my response to her was, "Thank you for reminding me that I need to do a few things again, and for reminding me what I am a lawyer for." So I think it's a very nice cycle, and somewhere along the way, I was literally telling the gentleman who's sitting with me right now that I try and avoid all of this. I've learned very early on in my life that a lawyer speaks inside a courtroom and usually puts his head down and quietly slinks away. But this narrative of just hearing people tell their stories is something I grew up with as a young lawyer. I had Mr. Subramaniam who used to regale us with stories of the seniors that he had spent time with. And in those stories were a lot of lessons, right? So I felt that today, I think there are very few of those stories being told or seen. And it's important for us to therefore just keep telling our stories in the hope that some of the learnings that we've kind of got from, the ones who guided us before are made available. Especially in a space where I think there is a lot of disillusionment with how the profession is, kind of panning out. There's a lot of competition. There's a lot more stress. I think the world has changed, I think priorities have changed on the ground. Nobody realizes that this is a long journey. Everybody is looking for a quick fix, and it's very scary. So I think it's good to hear stories of people who've slug it out. So I was just telling somebody the other day, I was telling you, Rohan, I keep going back and watching a bunch of these, the Bombay Law series, right? The Bombay Incorporated Law
Yes,
Society.
yes.
Their lectures now, and I think every time I watch one of those, I walk away with something new.
True.
A story, something I can relate to, their experiences, the odd snippet on what to do inside a courtroom. Each of these, and that's what Mr. Nariman used to say, you have no work, come to court, sit inside, watch, you'll learn something. More often than not, you'll learn what not to do. Sometimes you'll learn what to do. So thank you. This is a fantastic initiative, and I think the more people you get on the platform and the more stories, you can spread, the better it is for all of us.
So that's the plan. And from what I have gathered about you, not that I know a lot about you, sir, but of course, apart from your work, I don't know much. I feel like you also focus more on the outcome of how to get there. Like the process is something which is also very important to
very
you.
important. Yeah, absolutely.
And definitely AI helps when you're reading about people. So that's of course one of the things that helps you gather more information about a person. So correct me if I'm wrong.
You're telling that to a guy who doesn't know AI. So I'm a dinosaur. I don't use AI at all.
I understand that you've said this in the
past.
past.
Yeah, and I don't use it. I feel it. I mean, at least like I said, I've gone on the record to say it. I think it's going to dumb you down, dumb us all down, and my constant endeavor is to try and stay ahead of it. I'm always going to lose that battle, but I will still fight.
I do feel that too. Even though I use it extensively now, I do feel it somewhere or the other that effort has gone down a little bit.
Easily,
mentally.
right? And for me, I see that distinction. I remember stuff that I did in Indu Malhotra ma'am's chambers. I can close my eyes and I can see stuff.
Yeah.
I don't remember something that I read yesterday. I was telling one of my colleagues today, we were citing a judgment and I had no recollection that I had appeared in that matter till somebody mentioned the name and gave me context. And I said, that's bizarre, right? I mean, this profession is about, you do something, you should never forget about it. But ho raha hai. So case law, I mean, of course, there's a profusion of it, but even then, so which is why I've literally consciously departed. Again, back in courtroom today, I took a spiral-bound case law compilation after a long, long time because I said, I want to sit at my desk in the morning. I usually use a standing desk. I said, I will sit at my dining table. I will read. I will mark it up and see if this makes a better difference to my life. And if it does, I'm going to keep doing that. Because otherwise, I don't know. I mean, like, phone number to yaad nahi rehta, kal ye bhi yaad nahi rahega ki aap kaun ho. So when you walk into a courtroom, do you want to be seen as somebody a judge looks at and says, I can rely on this person, right? If he or she tells me something, I don't have to verify. And that's frankly it. And which is, and for me, it resonates something that my dad told me as a very young, very early in life. He says, boss, the only thing you have in your life is your reputation. Gayi to gayi. You can make enough money, you can do whatever you want, but agar izzat gayi to kuch nahi. So it's a very simple rule to live by. That's that.
I've heard that a lot. That trust building with judges.
Oh yeah.
The judges should be able to trust you.
No, absolutely. And I think that's something that, and fortunately, I think, it's something you see at work every day. And it happened to me the other day. In fact, a judge reminded me of something and said, Mr. Rao, you remember that day? You stood up, you said that this was wrong. You told me, and that is why I gave you relief. So the client maybe made an overstatement, did something, and, and made a bit of a mess. And I stood up. The first thing I did was I said, I want to flag this. This is an error. I have advised them to rectify it. Please have it. And, what could have been a very slippery slope, the judge was kind enough to say, all right, I'm going to let you sort it out. It happened yesterday in court. We had a petition where there was a prayer which was erroneously put. The judge hadn't noticed it. He gave me relief. He finished dictating the order and I said, I must just bring that to your notice because tomorrow I don't want somebody to turn around and say, you didn't flag that for me.
So it's serious business. All of this has to be put out to the judge.
No, the point that you're an officer of the court is actually you are an officer of the court. You represent what the profession stands for. If lawyers can't help the cause of justice and be true, then what's the point? Then we're all dead anyway. Then there's nothing to look forward to.
Because in this age of social media, now the whole idea of every profession is it's getting diluted so much also.
That is very scary. Huh?
Yeah. And the conversations around the nobility of the profession, so as
that's
to
what
speak,
I think is gone now.
Yeah.
In fact, the other day we were in court. I think Justice Sanjay Kumar mentioned it. And he said, I don't know if we are able to say that we are a noble profession anymore, but at least let's try and preserve standards, right? So we've come to that narrative today. And I'm not claiming to be, an espouser of the noble profession cause. My point is very simple. I think, each of us has a duty. Each of us has to discharge our duty. And as long as you think that you've done your bit and you can sleep easy with that, I think you're fine.
I want to dig a little deeper in the philosophical part of this. If there is someone who wants to draw a line on morality and they want to sleep easy, if there's something they want to do, there's some people who don't want to do that.
Yeah.
How, for those people who want to do it, how do they really do it? Because how do we draw that line?
I think, I keep going back to that famous line from the John Grisham movie, Rainmaker, if I'm not wrong, where he says, every lawyer during his journey, I'm paraphrasing, is called upon to cross a line. And, if you keep crossing it after some point in time, the line ceases to exist. And I think he says, and you just become another shark in muddy waters or dirty waters or something like that. So it's really that. I think it's frankly, it's to each of us and to our own. As somebody said, I will draw the line on paying that Elmad 10 rupees or 50 rupees or 100 rupees to get an inspection or get an order out. But I will not bribe a judge and I will not do that. Some people may say, look down on even that. And I think for all of us, it's that classic case of you find your comfort and you work with that. But I think what is a no-no, I don't believe there can be two views about 90% of what is prescribed and prohibited. There's a very small gray area and frankly, I think let each one deal with it.
I think people who are in the profession or have been in the profession even for a little bit, they understand those no-nos and those okays.
And I think everybody, even those who cross the line know that it's not okay, but they have taken a call and it's, I guess, theek hai.
Yes.
Like I said, I used to judge people once upon a time and I've realized that it's not, I'm inconsequential.
So are you saying that that line has moved from idealism to realism over time?
No, so for me, my idealism remains. I'm horribly idealistic, okay? And I'm an eternal optimist. So I believe that sab theek hoga. And, but yes, I think realism in the sense of, like I said, I would find it difficult to have a straightforward conversation with somebody I thought was not on the same moral wavelength as I was. Now I can have a very happy conversation and still walk away. And that's all right.
Yeah, that diplomacy, I think so that comes with time and experience
and age,
also.
Yeah, absolutely.
It kind of gets better with age. I think it is getting better only because...
No, for sure. Yeah. I think I'm becoming a little less patient. I think thanks to my mother, I have vast amounts of patience drilled into me. And I find, and I keep telling my colleagues nowadays, that I'm getting a little less patient. But a lot of this, yes. But I think I'm far more diplomatic than I used to be earlier.
I want to go to your journey a little bit. You're a first generation lawyer.
I am, but I'd like to say I'm not.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Because, I had the luxury of a house in Delhi. Okay. My dad got his last posting here. The first 3 years of my life, I lived at home. When I left law school, I was mentally prepared to live in a Barsati in Lajpat Nagar. Okay. But my parents moved here. It was quirk of fate. And they'd lived in the Northeast all their life. For the last 3 years in Delhi. For them, it was like moving from, a small pond to an ocean.
Yeah.
But for me, it was the comfort of home-cooked food, clothes being washed, not having to worry about anything except to just do your work. So, most first-generation lawyers that you really know, and I keep naming two people, I'll name them again, Trideep Payas and Jawahar Raja. Right? Jawahar is a classmate of mine. Trideep is senior. He's a senior advocate now. And I've seen them. They don't come from Delhi. Their parents don't, live in Delhi, didn't live in Delhi. They really slugged it out. So for me, like I said, I look at those things and I say, I didn't have to worry about anything. I got up in the morning. Chances are clothes were washed and everything ready. Breakfast was made. My lunch was packed. I got into a chartered bus. That's the inconvenience I faced. And then I took a mudrika back at night. Big deal. So I'm a first generation lawyer in the sense, yes, I didn't have a library, I didn't have a godfather, but I had godfathers in the sense I had Indu ma'am, I had Mr. Subramaniam, and I think what they taught me and the avenues they opened for me just by being in their chambers, I'm here because of that. So first generation also has various connotations. So I don't wear that as a badge. I think like I said, I mean, I'm always reminded of Gandhiji's talisman, and I have many advantages that many before me did not. And I think I've done what I had to do with it, and I've been very fortunate along the way. So a lot of them have not had that good fortune and have still done well.
But that applies across the board, of course. There will always be different kinds of anything.
Yeah, you're right.
So, but still, I mean, the fact that you did not have a established practice to rely on or chambers to, back you up on, it really does matter. When
of course, no, I'm not taking that away. I'm just, I think I just keep telling myself that I've had advantages over others who've not, and I'm thankful for those. And like I said, even those are reminders that, God has been kind, and maybe He's kind because He has a plan for you. So don't misuse or abuse the goodwill that has come your way from the universe.
No, I ask also because I understand that you did not want to do law in the first place.
Yeah, I didn't.
And you wanted to do medicine, if
I wanted to be a pediatric neurosurgeon.
Oh.
I mean, I was that clear as to what I wanted to do.
And how early was this that you thought about it?
I mean, I had a kidney problem. I spent time with doctors from the time I was 11. And before that, I had not really seen doctors. So over the years, I think I had become half a doctor myself. And that's the story I've told many times. But I just felt it was phenomenal, I mean, I went from day one on 8th of August, 88, where I thought I was going to die. And 10 days later, I was running up and down the stairs of Ariel Hospital in Tiruvattiur High Road in Madras. And I said, my God, man, these guys are geniuses, yaar. मैं तो 4-10 दिन पहले मैं सोचा था कि मैं तो मर रहा हूँ, and उन्होंने तो मेरे को पूरा आदमी बना दिया. So that was that. And but like they say, I think life has a plan. And I'm a pure, firm believer that life has always had a plan, and the universe kind of figures it out. So instead of being a doctor who would, tend and probably save people's lives, I am here in a profession which is equally, in a sense, that makes a difference to people's lives. So, and I think I saw that side of the profession during the COVID pandemic when I was doing that amicus thing. And that is when I realized, I mean, that's actually what this profession is all about. Baki sab to theek hai. I mean, it's great fun, it's extremely stimulating, you're extremely well rewarded. But those 2-3 months and then the journey after that just put the entire practice of law in perspective. That is the noble profession that we are supposed to be. So, so life takes you places where you don't think you have to go, and somewhere along the way that has been my what should I say, the mantra, Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. So you have to be nimble. You wanted to be a doctor, suddenly Bhagwan ne vakil bana diya. Adjust and move and make
so
the
you
best
never
of it.
thought about getting into the medical and legal space or something because you were interested in the medical space?
No, funnily, I did law and medicine as a seminar. That was the one seminar I knew when I opened my law school prospectus that I would do. Okay, I sat through those classes. They fascinated me. I remember one where the doctor asked me, he said, "Do you have a background in biology?" And I said, "Yes." He says, "Yeah, your questions remind me." I was fascinated when I went to do a forensic class where we were allowed to touch a corpse and we saw a post-mortem being done. But and then I landed up in the Supreme Court. I worked with Indu ma'am and then with Mr. Subramaniam, and the practice taught me that this is probably what it is.
So you also said in the beginning that I am a generalist. I'm not a specialist of any of any nature. You've done all sorts of work, I think.
No, and I don't think I've planned it, and that's what I think. Somewhere along the way, I realized. Like I said, I mean, earlier as a young kid, or maybe in college, I was very clear. मैं ये करूँगा, तब तक ये बनूँगा. And somewhere along the way, all of that took a backseat, and I just decided to just go with the flow. And it's a lot more fun, I think. I mean, so every time I thought I was getting too cozy in one space, I just quietly walked away and did something else. So,
do you think in today's day and age that specialization is important for younger people now who are entering
I think it's
profession?
extremely important. I mean, that's my standard advice. Please specialize in the early days of your life, because later, like the world thinks I'm a commercial lawyer. Every time I go to the criminal side, somebody looks at me and says, "Yaar, rasta bhatak gaya kya?" My friend Siddharth, if he comes to the civil side, people look at him and said, "What happened to you?" But if you see Siddharth Agarwal's initial judgments, they're all CPC. Right? Nobody realizes that. Mr. Luthra used to tell us. I mean, I think a lot of his early practice was hardcore civil law.
Okay.
And even today, you talk to him, suddenly in the middle of it, he'll throw something in which you suddenly realize, oh my God.
He knows this
Yeah,
also.
yeah. So, no, not only that. I think, and it also, in a sense, informs your ability to deal with the law differently. So, for me, and I keep using this word cross-pollinate. It sounds cool, but it's actually exactly what it is. The ability to take an example from electricity law and explaining it to a judge who probably has a background in electricity but is dealing with something related to patents or say to competition law just changes the narrative. I've done this once. I was arguing before a trial court and we did some homework about the judge and we realized that this was his or her first or second assignment. I mean, his second assignment on the crim side. And I was trying to argue a point on charge. And at some point, I had to draw a 7-11 parallel and make the point. Till then, I thought I was getting a little reluctance. The minute I made the point that, notwithstanding Order 7, Rule 11, there is a small window of law which allows you to, place on record material which is referred to but has not been produced by the plaintiff. So the whole argument was charge sheet mein jo documents hai, wahi dekh sakte hain, you can't look at anything else. And I said, no, that's the same principle in Order 7. You can only look at the plaintiff related documents. Why can't you look at something else? And there are small bodies of, opinion which have opened up that little landscape. And suddenly the reaction changes and, the outcome is slightly more different than it could have been.
Maybe from a judge's lens, from a judge's perspective,
Yeah.
when you're arguing in court. But from a client perspective, most people who want to give work to younger people
Yeah.
or who are not that popular or well established in the profession, they always ask, आपने इसमें काम किया है, आपने इसमें appear किया है, is that your domain? So what is your advice to younger people who want to get more clients and want to establish that kind of authority in a domain or want to attract more
So two ways of
clients
doing
or
it, right?
briefs?
I mean, okay, so two ways of doing it. You definitely want to be dabbling in multiple forums and multiple spaces and multiple subjects. You want to start establishing domain expertise, go to events, right, that are specific to that domain. Start writing on that subject. Make yourself visible in that manner, right? Speak at events. And suddenly you realize, I mean, this profession is also about, I think it's becoming increasingly about networking in that sense. But networking for the right reasons. So you can do rent control, you can do civil, you can do arbitration, you can do crim, but you can call yourself an IP lawyer. When people ask me, what do you do? I say, I'm a commercial litigator. Now somebody says, what does that mean? And I say, I do all kinds of work, right? But I actually do all kinds of work. I do electricity, I do money laundering, I do competition, I do arbitration, I do a little bit of criminal law.
Constitutional
Yeah,
law,
yeah. So,
public
and
law.
again, constitutional law, and I'm being very candid, I feel that I don't do enough constitutional law, public law. The ones that I've done largely are, where I've been appointed as an amicus. So it's almost like the universe finds that there is this gap in his portfolio and needs to fill it in. मजाक नहीं कर रहा हूँ, सच बोल रहा हूँ, because I really don't believe I know enough of that space, and I don't think I look at it enough. So my constant reminder is keep going back to the constitution for every little thing that you can, right? And that's the way I try and bring in that gap and fill it in. But I don't think you want to become a specialist so early on that you are myopic for the rest of your life. We don't work in firms. A firm has the ability to say, I have a division A and division B and division C, and we can, refer you internally.
Yes, yes.
More often than not, a small client wants somebody who can do his work, right? And take it from me, there is no greater validation than a client who walks away feeling that this kid may not know much, but he's worked his, butt off and done his best for me. And he or she will go back and send you a client or two who will then open up many doors. Just to give you an example, I mean, I must have been 4-5 years at the bar when one of my clients sat me down and said, आपको पता है हम आपको राज साहब क्यों बुलाते हैं, राव साहब क्यों बुलाते हैं? Like, it never struck me. And उनको मैं उनके नाम से क्यों बुलाता हूँ? I said, अच्छा. He says, नहीं, क्योंकि हम आपकी इज्जत करते हैं. And he is 20 years older. And I've always told him, sir, आप मुझे राज बुलाओ जो भी है. नहीं, राव साहब. And that is the only thing this profession is all about. Trust, belief, somebody who believes that, yes, you will do what you can for him or her. And that's all. approach it from that perspective, I think you're a lot happier. Yes, it's difficult. I mean, like I said, I think we've had it easier. We had our own difficulties, we had our own journeys, but I think the competition was a lot less intense when we came out. There were fewer people who wanted to be senior counsel. There were fewer people who wanted to argue. I think today, social media, technology, access, all of that has changed. I mean, visibility. I personally find the thought of people putting out, got an order today, did very well, so and so. I mean, I cringe, but I know why it's happening, and okay. I mean, I think the old school, like I said, Sapna says I was born 60 years old. Maybe I was 80, but from a professional standpoint, and I don't see a lot of the people who did what they did at that time doing or approving of stuff like this. But yes, I guess you have to be visible. My only point is, which is why, I mean, like, so for me, it's court versus arbitration. And I feel a courtroom gives you the ability to show off your skills to an audience, which is sitting at the back. And today, of course, thanks to VC, the audience across. Whereas you can do a fabulous job inside an arbitration, right? But you're in that closed room and nobody else has seen you. Correct. And then you have to rely on the goodness of the 5 people in that room to go and tell somebody that he or she has done a good job and therefore you could look at him or her. But a lot of my practice and a lot of my friends' practices were built on, आपने कुछ बहस करी, somebody sitting at the back said, sir, काट दीजिए, या तो अच्छा ठीक है, I've got a matter, will you argue it for me?
Yeah.
And which is why the only philosophy was, आपके पास एक brief होता है, you argue it such that it's the last thing you want to be remembered by, and chances are somebody will remember you for it and it'll lead to another door opening. So that's that. I mean, for me, it's always been जहाँ पे एक दरवाजा बंद हुआ, चार खिड़कियाँ खुल गई. So that's it.
Another anecdote I want to reflect on. I read about you, so I thought I should bring it up. You've said that things you don't enjoy don't inflict on others in the past.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think I keep telling my colleagues that very often. Yes.
And that also speaks a lot about the culture in the legal profession, in chambers and firms. Is there anything you want to talk about in this regard? Reflect something on that front.
Okay, small incident. Somebody was very obnoxious, right? And made us wait for a long time, and then late at night said, "I'll meet you tomorrow." And I'm like, okay, fine, yaar, I'm never going to try and do this. If I can help it, I'm not going to do this to someone. Respect somebody else's time, right? Somebody, say, accused me unfairly of doing something which I supposedly I'd messed up. I hadn't messed up. So I said, I'm going to try and make sure that I don't do this to somebody who works with me, right? If I've seen my seniors step up for people who've made a hash of things and taken it on their shoulders and shielded youngsters, right? You don't ever backstab somebody. Don't be disloyal. Little things. Lots of instances where a client comes to a senior and a junior is trying to kind of do this. We've seen that happen. I've seen that at close range. Or a senior trying to belittle a junior in front of a client because the senior feels the client is, very happy with the junior's work.
Yeah.
There's enough. Yeah. I think you have to be very, very sure about yourself. And if you're not, then theek hai. It was not meant to be. How does it matter? So I'm very clear. I think something that I have not enjoyed happening to me, I try and make sure that I don't do it. At least, I am sure I don't do it wittingly for sure. Unwittingly ho gaya to bhool ho gayi hogi, but nahi.
This is a conscious choice because a lot of times,
absolutely,
whatever people go through in their lives, they tend to percolate it in their lives in some way, and it kind of gets percolated to other people.
And which is sad because if you didn't enjoy the experience, why would you want to put somebody else through it?
Yeah. Well, then again, the moral compass comes in.
Also, I've been very fortunate. I've always been, to a large extent, at the receiving end of good things. I've had, senior counsel point to me in the middle of a matter where there are 10 lawyers and said, that kid helped me. Or that boy is the reason why I was able to assist your lordship. No reason. And, so this is an incident where Mr. Nariman said something like this about me in a matter where I had actually made a mistake and I should have had that judgment earlier. But I think he saw what I did through that entire prep. And he tells Justice Banerjee and Justice KGB this. Fast forward 4 months, on my last day in Indu ma'am's office, I stand up to take a passover which is denied. And Justice Banerjee says, you argue, and I argue it. I was petrified. And he and Justice Sabharwal launch into me. And ultimately, they smile and they look at me, and Justice Banerjee looks at me and says, we were testing you. We wanted to see if what Mr. Nariman said about you was correct. And I said, what are the odds? I mean, Mr. Nariman says something in July or, August, and we are on the 1st of December, literally. And this is 2001. And this judge remembers, he remembers the boy, he remembers the incident, he remembers what was said, and he wants to see if it was correct. So imagine, so that's the greatness of Mr. Fali Nariman, that something he says sticks with a judge.
Yeah.
Right? And I was fortunate to be in that space where Indu ma'am could not come into the room to take a passover, and I was there. So like I said, the universe has been very kind to me.
Yeah.
I've had instances where Mr. Andhyarojana has called Indu ma'am and told her, when did that boy join the bar? And she said 3 months ago. He says, what? He did a very good job. Why does he have to do that? So I've seen goodness in the profession, right? So I've seen very little bad. And for me, that is what this profession is about. I've seen instances where seniors have stepped up. I've seen instances where, you're arguing a case and you can't find something. Somebody's handed you a chit and said, ye judgment dekh lo. So lots of stories, and I've heard and I've seen. So there's no other way to do it.
There is a lot of solidarity in the bar, that's for sure.
Hey, this is not solidarity. This is just being, alive to the fact that there are traditions at the bar. That little tradition of the senior pays the bill at the canteen table. Why? Because, it came from a time when, and today juniors, can probably afford a lot more, but at that time, it was only the senior who made money. Juniors didn't make money, and this was just a subtle way of not embarrassing you because you couldn't pay for your lunch, but made sure that you got your food. And it was not that he was your senior. Whoever was the senior most at the table paid. Right? We've gone for lunches and suddenly we've asked for the bill, and suddenly a senior counsel who was also eating at the same place has paid the bill and walked away. And we're wondering, अरे यार ये तो हमें जानते भी नहीं है, नहीं, but उन्होंने देखा हुआ है कोर्ट में. ये छोटी-छोटी चीजें हैं, and these are all telling of what this profession is about.
But when you say traditions, some of them become counterproductive also to the entire legal system.
Oh yeah.
Like
such as
like non-payment to juniors.
Yeah.
A lot of them don't get paid well enough.
But see, that's changing.
That's
At least
changing.
and again, so I feel okay. I was lucky in the sense when I joined Miss Malhotra, she was still a good paymaster relatively, right? I've tried to be somebody who's tried to kind of make sure that my juniors don't have to worry about it. But that's because also the universe has been kind. I've been fortunate, right? But I know of a time when I couldn't probably pay my juniors well enough to make sure that one of them finally had to leave because his parents pulled the plug on him and he never told me. And there was a point where he was struggling and I didn't have the ability to kind of top up beyond a point. So he's in a better place. He's in a firm, but I still feel he would have been a fantastic litigator. So that's a story that still kind of, holds me back, and that's something that I regret. But have I tried to make up for it as I've gone along? I have. But that whole story about this profession is about learning and whatever. Yeah, I mean, that it is. But it doesn't mean that you make a lot of money and you don't take care. At least make sure that they don't have to kind of look elsewhere. So that, yeah, why not? But I think, and which is why I'm saying it's important to talk about traditions that work. And it's definitely important to talk about traditions that should not.
Should not continue.
Absolutely. But I think Delhi is way different. I think Bombay and Calcutta carry it as a badge of pride. And I think they even the seniors today try and, kind of justify it. But see, I don't think everybody does it. I think a lot of them have changed. And the difference was, see, those places worked on a model where a junior always got a brief. Right? So a senior may not pay you, but you got a docket from the solicitor and the senior encouraged that practice as time went along. So it's also about perseverance, it's about resilience, it's about knowing that, it's about the law. And you keep putting your head down and doing it, and slowly the rewards open. As I think somebody is, famously supposed to have said that this profession, the first 10 years you make no money, in the next 10 years you make some money, and then and so you do a lot of work with no money, you do a lot of work with a little money, and then you do very little work with a lot of money or whatever. So
and then no work, only money.
Yeah, so I think so that also is I mean, I'm still waiting for that no work and only money business. I feel, yeah, but to be fair, I feel, and I keep telling my colleagues this, that I don't think I work half as hard as I used to earlier. I think I work slightly smarter, but I still work a lot.
But I think that also comes with experience, sir,
Yeah,
because
it does.
over time you tend to get better at what you do,
Yeah.
and then you don't have to spend as much time doing one thing
I'm
as
not
you
sure
used
about
to.
that. I mean, okay, yeah, you're right. I think I made a conscious call. I was the boy who had to read every page, and I would not feel comfortable till I walked in, until I'd read everything by myself. And then I realized that I was sleeping 4 hours a night, right? And my average has always been about 5.5 hours a night. So I lost out on a lot of time with my wife and kids, my family, whatever. I've missed events. And at some point, I just took a conscious call. I think, yeah, it's not worth it beyond a point. It's the same. I've spoken about the Jessup experience, that I think if it consumes you so much that there's nothing left of it, then फिर जिंदगी में क्या बचा? So purely from that perspective.
Yeah, you said something about ambition.
Oh yeah. I don't know. So it's not
the
like
good
I'm not
part of
ambitious,
life.
but I think earlier I think ambition defined me. I think over the last 20 years, I know that, yeah, I believe that I will get to where I have to get. I just have to keep doing what I have to do. And I don't have to think too much about it. I mean, I'm not concerned about कि मैं ये बनूंगा, ये करूंगा, वो दिन गए. And like I said, I walk back every evening and I'm like, yeah, this case में, अरे, how did I not do this? How did I do that? So deal with each day. And beyond the point, you don't have to calculate and think. Yes, you have to be slightly strategic about it. And the joke used to be कि अगले 5 साल is the most important 5 years of your life. But now that is a joke, actually. For me, it's tomorrow, and let me survive this week and then look forward to the next holiday. So now I live holiday to holiday, and I try and be a good lawyer in the middle. So.
Some advice that you'd like to give to people who work in the arbitration space, younger people, because these are heavy, high-stake matters that you handle.
Think. So the 2 rules, right? So one was make your own list of dates, especially as youngsters, right? And if you can work with somebody. So a lot of my initial working was with friends, right? I was in Mr. Subramaniam's chambers. I had Siddharth there. I had Raghen there, and we were friends. And I think, when you are with friends, it's easy to work because it's fun and it doesn't feel like work. तो बहुत बार होता था कि अच्छा ठीक है, you have to do one, say 10,000 page brief and you have 3 days to do it. 2 लोग बैठे, you've got a laptop open, one is typing, one is reading, and then you switch roles. You take a break, have a cup of coffee, step out for a bit, get some air, come back. And before you know it, you've done your work. You know it well. Both of you know it. And you've joked a little bit along the way. And it has just gotten better. Right? So I think a lot of people today don't know how to work with people. And most of the work, especially the big stuff, is not stuff that you can do yourself. You need to, you need some help.
Yes.
And if you have the ability to work with people or to get people to work together, and all of you know that this is not a race where each of you is competing with each other. You're competing with yourself. Both of you are the same set of papers. Both of you are competing with yourselves to understand best how you understand that. And you deliver a product that actually works. I mean, how much better can it be? So that's where I was fortunate. I mean, we've had like so much fun. We used to do Parliament Attack. There was Dayan, Siddharth and I. We'd finish, we'd go back to Dayan's, Barsati in Panchsheel, have a drink. We are working, lots of fun, but we did good work. It was serious, but it was fun. Right?
Tell us something about that case. If something interesting about the Parliament Attack case that you pranced upon, you'd like to tell the audience.
So before Parliament, actually, the most interesting thing was we were doing Tehelka when Parliament Attack happened. We were in Vigyan Bhavan, and suddenly we realized that something's happened down the road. And we had to then, stop the proceedings, and we went off. And Mr. Subramaniam had to tell Justice Venkat Swamy that we've just heard that something's happened. And so it did 2 things, right? And you were prosecuting. I was a young kid. I'd never done criminal law. So for me, it opened up criminal law in a way that I didn't know. It also opened me up to a very different approach to practice. I went from, Justice Indu Malhotra, who was an AOR at that point in time, her office where we were a heavy-duty filing AOR Supreme Court office, to a senior counsel's office where suddenly the approach was very different. Sab kuch bana banaya aa raha hai, and you're trying to find and you see your boss trying to add value to each
Yes.
brief. And then you meet this man who suddenly one fine day says, मैं सिर्फ साल में एक case करूँगा, and I'm only doing Telka commission for 9 months, and I'm only doing parliament attack for the next 9 months. And you ask yourself, yeah, what motivates a man to do that? Right? And the effort that went into that case. And the one person that I take away was Justice Mukta Gupta. She was standing counsel crim. She would do a full day's work. And not like today where there are, say, probably 40, 50 lawyers on the panel. That time there were, I think, 4. And she was the mainstay. But at the end of the day, she knew everything. And I just marvel at how she did it. So hard work, focus, just precision. And Mr. Subramaniam just told me, he says, okay, I'm giving you the papers, you make a list of dates. So I was given 4 days. And I went back and I had to look at 100 witnesses, break it down, make a note, which I still call the Bible. So that was the one. And I sat alone for 4 days. And I put that together. And I knew every piece of paper. And I don't think I have ever been as prepared on a matter ever after. And that's what I keep telling myself. So which is why when my juniors say you're being too hard on yourself, I said, no, because you've not seen what he made us do. And it was just that. So 9 months of doing just one matter for all practical purposes. 9 months of just looking at law. We used to sit in conferences from say 9 in the morning. We would wrap, say by 8:30, 9 at night. Sir would go up. Shaggy, Dayan and I would sit. Dayan would leave at some point in time. Shaggy and I would sit together and then try and put together whatever note we had to do for the next morning. We'd get home at 3 in the morning. We'd be back in the office at 7. It was phenomenal.
Shaggy is?
Siddharth Agarwal. Sorry, he's going to kill me for this. But,
no,
sorry.
The audience should know.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
No, yeah, I mean, you've done all like different kinds
yeah,
of
yeah.
work.
So no, it's like phenomenal. And some of those memories are priceless. Not just because of the fact they were fantastic matters, but it was just the process. I thought we were saving the country at that point in time, right? I was a young, impressionable child.
Yeah, that was one of the things.
And now I look back and there are so many questions about that matter. But yes, we did what we had to do. We were doing our job. And I remember looking at Mr. Jethmalani and, he would say, I have never seen a prosecutor who can argue like this. He was constantly badgering us. And but my only learning from that was I took what he argued that day to a trial court in Hyderabad in 2011 in May when I had to argue a remand case for the first time in my life. Can you imagine? So something that I saw in 2001-2, I literally put myself, I had no idea what to do. I mean, I was thrown into the deep end because the senior lawyer who was supposed to be there was unavailable. And in a really sensitive political trial, and that was day 1 when my client was arrested and he was being produced. And I just put myself there, took my learnings from parliament attack from the defense and tried to argue that here. So
that also requires a lot of brains.
No, not only that. It also, that's what I'm saying, cross-pollinate. You have to be able to take from something that's seemingly unrelated and be able to transplant it. And which is what Mr. Nariman's point was, I think, when he said, watch, because you never know kab kya aa jaye jo aapke kahin aur kaam aaye.
True. This applies to people also. Be nice to everybody. You never know.
Okay, so that is a no-brainer, right? See, it's easy to be nice. Yeah. It's difficult to be bad. So why would you want to be bad? Yeah, I mean, there's that thing, no, that they say if you smile, you need less muscles to smile or something like that. Whatever. I mean, but I think it's difficult.
Frowning takes more muscles. Yeah, I think something of that sort.
So, I think if everybody just were nice. So like I said, my mother has always told me, your anger is your worst enemy. Your anger is your worst enemy. Anger is your worst enemy. Like, acha, theek hai. Now it's there.
But so many different kinds of things that you've done work-wise. Another thing that I quickly want to ask you is the recent personality rights case that you did in Delhi High Court. You represented Karan Johar in that case.
Yeah.
And as a lawyer, firstly, I wanted to understand, how does it feel when you're representing celebrity clients? That's one thing.
So fortunately, see, for me, I mean, I just dealt with the solicitor, so I didn't have to deal with the celebrity, right? So that's one, and that's the advantage. I was literally having that chat with somebody earlier today, saying that as a senior counsel, and I was very clear, okay, I wanted to be that senior counsel who was, in a sense, far removed from his client. I mean, if I have to meet a client, it's all right, but I'm not professionally dealing with the client in that sense.
Yes.
And that's the reason why I stopped filing. I practice it in a manner where I think as senior counsel are expected to. So the fact that it was Karan Johar just meant a little more pressure in the overall scheme of things, but it made no difference it made me look better in my family groups, and in some cases did not make me look better, but right. So, but yeah, I think the fun part was trying to get Justice Arora to kind of, it was a tough one. There were issues with that. She's a really, really tough judge. And she asked a series of really pertinent questions. She's like, are you seriously telling me you have a problem with this meme? And I'm also, struggling to walk that tightrope between being an officer of the court and saying, you're right, maybe, we are also being oversensitive here. But at the same time, somebody is making money off somebody else's name. And is that permissible? Very thin line there.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is that now suddenly, you've seen a flood of litigation in the Delhi High Court on this aspect of the matter.
Rights.
And I think there is going to be a pushback at some point in time, right? Why Delhi? Why not this? Etc. Etc. And somewhere along the way, it'll balance itself out. So beyond a point, the individuals are relevant because it's personality rights. But I don't want it to become a place where everybody starts running that, even the court realizes that this is now becoming a mockery of the process. So, but then that's for lawyers too.
What did you mean by pushback from Delhi to other states?
Because, half the personalities who've got their rights protected have nothing to do with Delhi.
And why do you think that happened?
Because the Delhi High Court is a great place. That's why. It's a good court. It's a court that decides. It's a court where things move. At least, that's the impression. And frankly, that's the only thing I've seen. So I don't know. And but you do see now that the Bombay High Court has started passing a few orders, and other courts are. So my only concern there, and again, and I'm a Delhi High Court lawyer for all practical purposes, right? I don't even say I'm a Supreme Court lawyer. I'm a Delhi High Court lawyer. Is because somewhere, if you look at the overall ecosystem of the law, do you really want to be a place where all of India's litigation gathers in Delhi and none of the other courts are seemingly competent to deal with it? That's not. There are fantastic courts, there are fantastic judges, phenomenal lawyers all over the country. But this is also, it's just that the court has managed to work itself in a manner where we are literally the only court where you get a listing tomorrow or a listing today. Right? So there are efficiencies. So I would think that you should be able to take those efficiencies and transplant them to various other courts.
Yes.
And develop that mindset, particularly amongst the younger lot. And that's my only advice to most kids who want to come to Delhi. I say, why do you want to do this? Go to your high courts. Spend a few years in Delhi if you have to. But go back and set the standard there. And then come back to Delhi 10 years, 15 years down the line. And, so you have a space where you've built a foundation. You have a feeder source. You find your feet in the Supreme Court. 10, 15 years down the line, why not? And you may never want to come back to Delhi. Look at, some of the greatest lawyers in the country today who are very happy being in their high courts. They come to Delhi once in a while and they have no joy or desire to be in Delhi. So why not? It's about the law at the end of the day. You have to be comfortable. You have to do stuff that you enjoy, and you have to be able to walk into a space where, you want to walk into every day. The Delhi High Court is that space. A lot of courts are not welcoming. Somebody like me would not have probably found the same kind of footing in 80% of the other courts where I could have probably gone to practice, including my home state. So that is the beauty. So take those things from the Delhi High Court. Take those things from, the profession. Take the good things and just spread them rather than trying to kind of, kill something that is seemingly looking like a good thing. That's what.
Yeah, Delhi High Court, across the board, people say that about Delhi High Court, that it's one of the best high courts. In fact, it is the best high court.
Yeah. So, and I think, unfortunately, that seems to be now a curse. Why? I don't know. It's got some great things. It's cosmopolitan, it is literally a mini India. And that is what this country is all about, right? It's all about being different but same. That's
so good to hear. Amid all the things people say about Delhi, the bar stands tall.
No, absolutely. I'm telling you, I was a rank outsider. Yeah. I'm telling you, chances are I would not have found my feet in the Supreme Court as well as I have. I belong to the Delhi High Court. No matter what happens, that is my birthplace. So, and I'm a lawyer who started in the Supreme Court. I spent 7 years there, and then I went to, went independent and then found my feet in the Delhi High Court. And I have phenomenal judges. The people who encouraged us, like how? And it didn't matter who you were. I didn't have a surname behind me. Right? But they saw you were young, they saw you working hard, they saw you were trying to do things differently, and they pushed you.
So you're saying they recognize
absolutely.
People without surnames?
Absolutely. And I think if they think that you have potential, they push you harder. I can give you instances of judges who forced us to be, who would be brutal inside a courtroom. And once in a while on the side would say, I expected more of you in that matter. Which meant what? That boss, you are capable of a lot more. Who does that for you? I mean, nobody does it for you unless they care for you. And that's the point I'm saying. I've seen good in this profession. I've rarely seen bad. And this is the good I'm talking about.
But I think I should reflect on the bad a little bit.
Oh, yeah, please.
Because I also feel that the profession works a lot on contacts and references and getting jobs, getting internships. That
I'm
also...
a Nepo chamber, as you know, so.
Is that so?
Yeah. I'm supposedly a Nepo chamber. I'm supposedly a chamber where only people from NLS get in. So people...
Is that true though?
No, it's not. But anyways.
No, but...
No, but yeah, I mean, to be fair, I mean, okay, is it true or I'll answer that a little more nuanced, in a nuanced manner. Do I have kids who come from connections? Yes. Do I have kids who don't come from connections? Yes. Number of kids who've come into the chambers as interns without any references and eventually kind of transitioned through the chambers. So for me, it's all about the universe. I've had kids who've come from great places, spent 3 months here and decided that they can't handle the egalitarian manner in which I do my practice. For me, it doesn't matter how many years you've spent in the profession, you're all equal, right? So we don't have a hierarchy in the office. Everybody's, but at times it's counterproductive. But in my head, I still feel this profession is about that, right? It doesn't matter how many years you've spent. It's only about how good you are.
And learning, continued learning.
And also about being able to get along with people. If you can't get along with 10 people, you can never get along with the world. So that's what. And for me, I think that's the point. We are professionals at the end of the day, right? I may hate you, but if I can't work with you because somebody else's neck is on the line, then what kind of a professional am I? So that's the one thing that I feel, you are lawyers, yes, but at the end of the day, you have a job to do for somebody else who depends on you. And if you can't put your personal likes, dislikes, predilections aside to deliver the best possible product for your client, then you're not doing your job.
And any reading advice that you give to younger people?
Read as much as you can in your early days, because later it becomes increasingly difficult. Read across, that's the one advice that we've all got. And I think it's great advice. I used to read a lot across the spectrum earlier. I struggle today. And I think it's also becoming difficult with social media, Netflix, Prime Video, etc., etc. So I was having a chat with somebody very recently, and we were discussing that, need to inculcate I'm the one who reads the least in my house. My Sapna and the kids read a lot. And I'm now trying to tell myself, chalo, theek hai, baby steps. I will at least start reading 10 books a year, etc., etc. And I can't read fiction anymore. So I have to find stuff that I enjoy. So whether it's history, travel, whatever.
So that happens, if you let go of the habit initially, if you read a lot and suddenly you let go of the habit, you can't really go back to it.
Not only that, I read so much every day, so I don't want to read at the end of a long day. I want to watch something mindless.
Yes.
So, and the fact that I live in Gurgaon helps, because I get 40 minutes to watch whatever I want to, or an hour depending upon Kismat. So I do that, or I sleep. So sleep is always at a premium.
The one book that you recommend to younger people, youngsters, young students?
Before Memory Fades. So Mr. Nariman's book. So that's something that I keep going back to. Jonathan Livingston Seagull is something that I keep reading from time to time. The Alchemist I believe is my life. I resonate with so many bits of it. But a lot more, I mean, insofar as the law is concerned, there are books and books and books. I'm going to now read Mr. Venugopal's book by Suhasini, which is essentially his life distilled. So, but beyond that, read about things that you are eventually going to have to deal with inside a courtroom. Read about technology, right? It is what it is. Read literature. There's a lot, and the ability to take that and be able to tell a judge something from a subject he or she probably is also known to like. So you have to be smart about some of these things. And you can't suddenly say, Acha, I know that this judge likes this, so I will now start reading this. You just have to be able to be well read. Right? So that's that. But of course, more importantly, I think read the law regularly. That's the one advice I give. Very few follow it, but if you read your law every morning, I think you'll see, just test it. Do this for a month. I mean, or 2 months. Just read every judgment that is delivered by the High Court and the Supreme Court. just for 60 days on the trot. And ask yourself, do you feel you're a much better lawyer on the 60th day? The chances are you will say yes. Your confidence in how you respond to a question, how you can suddenly say, yes, day before yesterday this happened. And my only example is this. I was arguing for the AP High Court the day the Natural Resources judgment came. The matter gets taken up pre-lunch, I argue it, and then post-lunch at 2:30, right, the judge assembled, and the judgment was pronounced at 2 p.m. Luckily, it was available on the website. I had downloaded it onto my iPad, and I had managed to kind of mark up the relevant portions. And at 2:30, I cited that judgment before a judge. And I said, it was pronounced now. And he says, how did you get it? And I said, it was on the internet. He said, how did you get it? And then I had to just tell him that it's on my iPad. I just downloaded it. And suddenly, from being extremely difficult, the judge softened. These are little things. Just helps you. I think it's also about advocacy. It's also about being smart. It's also about strategizing, right? So these are all good things. These are all things you can do. These are all kosher. These are legit.
Yes.
Right? There are judges who don't like their judgments. There are judges who love their judgments being cited in front of them. Right? There are judges who like certain judges. Should you know that? Should you be able to use that? Little tools in your trade.
All right, sir, that was a wrap. And,
okay, oh lovely, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I can go to Bye. Must be abusing me, right?
Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.